There are tons of business podcasts to choose from, but only one has the stamp of approval. Kristin Stampini is South Florida's leading real estate entrepreneur and your trusted source for everything real estate.
I would like to welcome our listeners and thank you for joining us for another episode of our podcast, The Stamp of Approval. I'm Kristin Stampini, co-founder of the Stampini team with RE/MAX in Boca Raton, Florida. I'm also a certified real estate coach with the Craig Proctor Systems and the owner of Global Virtual Assistants. The Stamp of Approval podcast was launched to share and educate other realtors, consumers, and other business owners across North America by sharing value and content to our listeners in each and every episode. I share my experiences and triumphs, failures and strengths throughout my entire life with the hope of my audience being able to expand their knowledge on everything real estate, business, sales, and mindset oriented. We also recently launched Stamp TV on YouTube. Come join us, where I share weekly real estate tips for buyers, sellers, and real estate agents. If you like our podcast, all I'm asking is that you please share it with others that you think that might enjoy it as well. So remember Erik Eastham with the law offices, Eastham Law Offices. It's a family-owned business participating for over 35 years and specializing in estate planning, probate, asset protection, trust and estate, administration, business organization, real estate, and contract transactional law. Attorney Eastham prides himself in creative estate planning and business organization, often saving, winning, and protecting his clients and their assets while maintaining personal relationships with them. Eastham also believes in educating his clients and surrounding community on the importance of proper planning. Erik Eastham and his dad are our personal attorneys, and we absolutely love them and trust them. And actually, my mom, I just had lunch with yesterday, and they're attorneys for my mom and stepdad as well. So welcome, Erik. Welcome back.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm very good.
I can't tell you how many people have come up to me at different conferences and things that they've heard you and they're like, oh, who is that? Oh, yeah, he told us this. And so definitely they're feeling, they go back and listen to you and everything else from previous episodes that you've done with us. So they've absolutely loved you with the information that you've provided to them.
That's great. Let's give them some more today.
Yeah. We're going to start with asset protection. So go ahead and jump right in.
So when we're talking about asset protection, we're talking about a next level of estate planning. All estate planning should begin with a foundation. So if we're going to build a house, we're talking about real estate. If we're going to build a house, you don't start by putting the walls up. They'll fall down. Mm-hmm. You start with a good foundation. Foundation is normal estate planning. That's just trusts, wills, powers of attorney. Asset protection is building those walls. If you want to analogize it to a castle, you're going to put up the walls, then maybe you'll put up a moat, maybe you put up an exterior wall or archer towers. It's how far do you want to go with your asset protection. And unlike foundational planning, which most of the time will fit all, asset protection planning does not. It depends on what is the asset we're speaking of, what is its value, what are the family dynamics that are going to be involved, because some people don't have any family and that can create a problem. But that's where we're going. As we said, we've got the foundation in place. I actually have something to protect now. Now what can I create in order to shelter my assets from unforeseen lawsuits or medical bills or helping me having my parents qualify for Medicaid? These are things that you cannot do on the fly. You're not going to be able to do them in the midst of a problem. You have to go through the effort of planning them ahead of time.
So when should somebody start considering asset protection?
It depends what the asset is. So for purposes of this podcast, I'll focus on investment property, which is huge down here in South Florida. If somebody wants to purchase a piece of property for the purpose of putting a tenant in there, then they need to understand that they are opening up the liability that they have to the people they are doing business with, ergo their tenant. The most popular form right now is to create an LLC. The reason why people create LLCs is they like the name. I like hearing limited liability. Sounds great. I'll take it. What we see a lot of people do is they go out, they come into my office, they say, well, I have 3 units now. And I say, okay, that's good for you. How do you own them? If they have no asset protection, they own it in their own name. If you own the asset in your own name, you can lose the asset. So let's say you're in a car accident and your insurance isn't enough and you get sued. What's the first thing they want to know? What do you own? Mm-hmm. Well, you own these 3 units. Let's go after those units. Or vice versa, who can sue your tenant? Feel free to cut me off when you got another question because I can just keep going.
No, what you're saying is awesome.
So the thing with the tenant, though, is you can find a lot of attorneys that are going to say, let's set you up with an LLC right now, or a limited partnership, which in my opinion is more of a tank for owning investment property. But the first question is, do we need asset protection right now? If you have just purchased the property and you've had to take a mortgage to do so, you don't have a whole lot to lose at this point in time. Because even if you are sued by the tenant, or if you are sued because you hit someone with your car, they're not taking that property from you because the bank's going to take it first if it's fully mortgaged out. We should also be looking at things. Do you have an umbrella policy? Do you have these other things? So asset protection based on what the unit is and how much equity you have in this home may not really be necessary at the time.
How much does it cost to protect the asset? So
that's the tricky question, because you can go ahead and you can set up your own. We'll just focus on LLCs right now. There's trusts you can create. I alluded to a limited partnership, but for purposes of today, we'll just focus on limited liability companies because they're very popular. To set up a limited liability company in Florida, the filing fees with the state are between $130 and $150
a year,
and you can do that, and you can say, well, I have an LLC. The problem with doing that is that, why are you creating the company? You're creating the company to insulate your harm from your personal assets. So if someone sues the company, the tenant sues the company, you want to say, you can only sue the company. You can't come after me. And the first thing that plaintiff who's filing a lawsuit is going to do is they're going to try to challenge the validity of your company. Mm-hmm. How strong is this company? Is it set up the right way? Are they filing their taxes the correct way? And one of the things that a judge is going to look for in an LLC is, well, do they have an operating agreement? And you do not have to have one, but it is entirely in your favor if you do have one. And in many regards, that's what you're hiring a lawyer to do. You're hiring a lawyer to create that operating agreement. And you say, agreement with who? Well, an LLC to have proper and true protection in Florida requires more than one member. And in most states, that's also true. Some states still haven't decided, but in Florida, it's crystal clear. If you want to be fully insulated and utilizing the true limited liability, you need to have another member of your company. The reason why is because if you're in that car accident and you and I have a company together, I come onto the Stampini team and I'm an owner now, and I hit someone with my car, and I come to you and I say, guess what? Bad news. Someone's suing me. We're going to have to use our company assets to satisfy my claimant. Mm-hmm. You're going to look at me, you're going to go, are you crazy? Yeah. That had nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with our company. Why do I have to use my assets that I'm working hard to earn too to satisfy your problems? So the law recognizes that argument. So we're not going to have to use our company assets because we have more than one person. If I'm the only owner of my LLC, the argument fails. I'm not being unfair to anyone. They can come in and take my company assets if I hit someone with my car and I don't have other assets or insurance to pay that bill. So that's the reason why you need to have more than one member.
And then the percentage, it doesn't matter, right?
Percentages does not matter. What we are talking about, just to be clear to the listeners, that's an LLC. Corporations are a different animal. Partnerships, by their name defined, you need a partner. But we're talking about LLCs right now.
Okay. And then with the LLC, you are, how much does it cost to set something up like that?
That's right. I never answered that question, did you? It depends on the level of service. What we offer, the most expensive package that we offer for LLCs for our clients, the most expensive is we'll charge around $2,000. It will come with free legal consult on that business for life, and it will come with 2 years of registered agent service. And you pretty much get access to me with all your business questions. And the most of that is me taking some hours in creating your operating agreement. If somebody wants to do less, then we work on a case-to-case basis. Most of my clients will say, I'll just take the top tier because I don't know how often I'm going to need to call you. And they get to call me without getting billed.
Yeah, well, that's one thing that's great about you is that how are you set up usually on how you charge your clients?
We do our best. We can't do it for everybody, but 99% of the time, we're offering a flat fee. Call me as often as you want. I'll charge you if I have to produce a legal document for you, which is that operating agreement. But if you've got questions, if you want me to talk to other people besides you, if I need to speak with your CPA, if I need to speak with your financial advisor, in truth, it's a lot easier for me to just get the phone call done rather than me having to track the time for 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So you don't get billed for it.
Which is awesome. I love that about, actually, Erik, the Eastham Law Office is the only attorney that I know that has it set up that way, and I love that. So if you, let's say you bought lots of properties, is it just that one, I mean, can you put them all in there?
You can. It's not always recommended. So it's all your eggs are in one basket. If you've got 5 different properties and they all have a tenant in there and you've got one problem with one tenant, they're going to sue the owner. And that owner is the LLC. And if that LLC owns 4 or 5 properties, they are now all subject to it. If you're going to create multiple LLCs, it's encouraged that you do not make them all identical to one another. It's not a clear piercing point. Someone's not going to be able to just say, Judge, they're all exactly the same, so let's put them together. But there's a little bit of argument there. So if I have a family and the family has multiple children, I'll say give everybody a little piece of LLC 1, cut out child 1 out of 2 and 2 out of 3 and so on and so forth. Give them different interests. Change it up as much as you can. The reasoning behind it rarely needs to be justified, if ever. Why did you do it that way? Because that's the way we did it with our business, period.
Right. So when you said the $2,000, but the $2,000 is a one-time fee.
One time.
Yep. But it's for just 2 years of...
It includes 2 years. After the 2 years, you can be your own registered agent. We offer registered agent services. They're less than $200 a year for it. And the purpose of the service is that a requirement in Florida and in many states is that you have a registered agent. A lot of people choose to be their own agent, and they fail the agent requirement because it also states that somebody needs to be of service typically between the hours of 10 and 12, not every single day, but it's really for the purpose of serving a lawsuit. If we're going to send someone, a process server, to the business location that you've listed or the registered agent location you've listed, they need to readily be available at least around these times. And what we see a lot of clients do is they fail the requirement, and this is one of the ways that people say, let's not treat them like an LLC because they don't act like an LLC, is, well, I'll be my own registered agent to save on the fees, and I'll list my home as the principal place of business, which can be a problem in and of itself. But then they go to their real job. Most people with investment properties have another job, and they go there. So no one's really at home between 10 and 12, so they're failing that. Every now and then you'll also have a client who says, well, I have a real business, and I'll just use that business address as my business address. And you can also do that, and you're probably not going to fail the requirement. But I recently had a client come in and he said, I got to start using you for agent service. I'm getting served papers from these tenants. It has nothing to do with my business. It's my investment properties that I'm getting served on. And it was for, it wasn't even a real lawsuit. It was from the city doing ordinances for overgrowth. But what did the client see? He's sitting there with clients, and the clients are coming in and saying, and he's a financial advisor, and he's seeing these people come in and serve, and he goes, these clients, they think I'm getting sued. I can't sign up somebody if they think I'm getting sued.
Yeah.
What do they think I'm getting sued for? My business. So he hired me to be his agent just for that. And agent service, you don't need a lawyer for it. You can find agent service. There's people, and that's all they do.
Right.
We just offer it to our clients too.
Okay, so for the listeners out here, with the asset protection, which, we did ourselves. I mean, you did it for multiple, because what I did is I set it up all wrong, because I'm sure a lot of people do exactly what I did. And I opened my business, and had the corporation, and then I bought an investment property, and I put that investment property into my business. I had no idea. So I had them both commingled. I had my business with my investment property. Now that is just crazy, but I had no idea what I was doing, and I just did it. So I actually bought my investment property in the name of my business. And so anyways, you separated it all out, and then had another one that so you had set that all up for us, which was awesome. And then the thing is like you said, you don't have to worry about it, because if a tenant falls, they hurt themselves, they go back to sue you, and you don't have it set up, they can take it all, right? Well,
the idea is you're going to have, it's a very touchy situation. So for the do-it-yourselfers out there, you create the LLC. Step one, who owns that property? Have you transferred the property into the LLC? Were you allowed to purchase that property in the name of your LLC? Some mortgage companies don't like that, so you got to find ways around it. And then, is it all subject to a lawsuit from that tenant slipping and falling? First, where do we look? We look to insurance.
Yeah.
Well, have you notified your insurance carrier that this home is now owned by the LLC? Or does the insurance company now have a reason to deny your claim? Well, we insured you. You don't own the property. The LLC owns the property. Deny the claim. In this point, worst case scenario, the only thing that the LLC owns is the home, probably a very small account where you cash in the rents and use it to pay. Worst case scenario, if it's done right, that's what's subject to it. But it's not a means to get away from paying your property insurance, your liability insurance. Umbrellas are still encouraged. You're just trying to reduce the target on your back.
Yep, perfect. So for our listeners out there, can you give them just a few tips of what you recommend if they're going to buy an investment property and asset protection, and how they can do that? And then also, how they can reach out to you, So
the best tips is, first and foremost, lawyers are out there for a reason. Realtors are out there for a reason. Insurance agents are out there for a reason. Please utilize their expertise, because it all is very, very complicated. So you want to make sure you're getting the right advice. Second, if you do own properties and you're using them for income producing, meaning we have tenants in them, then the general rule is, yes, you should not own that in your own name. But before defaulting to the general rule, do an analysis. What is your umbrella policy? What is the mortgage on the property? What do you truly have that's really exposed? Because you may be putting in additional expense through having to run another company, even if that expense is only a couple $100s a year, that you don't need. And maybe you need it later when you've built equity in it and you've built other things up. So just because you hear that you got to do it, do a full analysis on whether you do. As far as reaching out to me, my phone number is 561-395-6800. And you can always reach us on the web at easthamlawoffices.com. Emails work too. EMJ Eastham, which is spelled east like the direction, ham like the food, at easthamlawoffices.com. Or you could just give Kristin a call. She's got my number too.
That's right. And thank you, listeners, and thank you, Erik.
Thank you for having me.